All right, hello. Today we are going to learn how to make a beautiful clay leaf plate using some leaves from nature and some clay. So the first thing we're going to need to do is roll out a nice even slab of clay. So my rolling pin, I'm going to make it look relatively easy. You may need to stand up while you're doing it. And you want to pick your clay up and flip it. This is going to keep it from sticking to your placemat or to your tablecloth, and it'll also help make it a little bit easier to roll the clay out. You want to be thinking of the shape of your leaf while you're getting this slab nice and even. If you have a round leaf, you want it to be kind of a square slab. If you have a long skinny leaf, you'd want it to be a rectangle. Oops, sorry. So rolling this out until it is about 1/4 to 1/8, right, of an inch thick and nice and even all over. My placemat's rolling around. Pick it up. Still a little too thick, right? For kid fingers, about 1 finger thick on the side. For adult fingers, about half of that, okay? So unless you have really small fingers and you're an adult. All right, so that is pretty even and nice and smooth. Now all I'm going to do is take one of my leaves, whichever one you like, and I'll use this one. And I'm going to lay it on there and just gently, now I'm not pushing very hard, I'm just going to gently push and roll that leaf into the clay. I'm going to go ahead and get the stem pressed in and then do it again because I can see some parts are sticking out. What this is going to do is put those vein marks into the leaf, and it also makes a nice leaf shape for me to be able to cut out. When we're cutting the leaf out, you might want to leave it nice and loose, right? You don't have to get right up next to the leaf, or if you want it to look exactly like a leaf, then you'll cut it closely. You need to make sure your cutting tool is pressed the whole way down to the paper. We're not just trying to cut through the top. Really pressing, making sure it's touching the table. And kind of just going around. I'm doing mine very nice and loose. As I mentioned, you could do it closer to the leaf. That would take longer, which is fine. Just want to carefully go around. Then if you've cut the whole way through, right, you're just going to be able to pick all of those pieces up around it. All of our extra clay needs to stay into one big piece together, not a bunch of little pieces. Now I'm going to leave the clay here. I'm going to pull off any of these burrs or clumps of clay that were left on there. And then I'm going to use a sponge and a little bit of water. I'm dipping this in the water. Your sponge might already be damp. You don't want your sponge to be wet, not dripping. Squeeze all the water back out, just barely damp. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to rub the corners. Rubbing. And this is smoothing it out, so when I fire the clay, it's not going to be too sharp. Be a nice, smooth side plate decoration. And so you can see that has gotten a much softer edge to it. And I'm looking at how it looks too, right? So I want it to feel nice and smooth, but if you have big clumps somewhere, you want to get those out. My clay is a little thick. You would probably want yours a little bit thinner than this. Before I take the leaf out, I'm going to, if you wanted it totally flat, that would be okay, but I want mine to kind of curl up on the edges. So I am going to just gently peel the edges up off of my placemat, and so I'm using my fingers to kind of pinch up, and my thumbs, turn this around, my thumbs are staying on the inside. Now it's going to be backwards. My fingers will be on the inside, my thumbs are on the outside. So keeping something on the inside, right, and pressing up against that. Curling it up as much or as little as you want. Maybe you only want to curl one side up. I want it to kind of be almost like a bowl, but a leaf. And so I'm just curling those up, getting it to the shape that I like. If you made anything sharp or if you notice some parts now that you moved it around. You can smooth those out with your finger or the sponge, whatever makes sense for you, whatever works for you. And then once you have it the shape that you like and you're not going to be touching it anymore, you're ready for it to just sit and dry, then we're going to pull the leaf out. So it's the very last thing we do. So giving it one last look over, making sure everything looks and feels good, and then you may have to really stick your finger in there to get it started. I pressed mine in pretty hard. So I'm going to fix that. And I'm not going to fuss with this at all. I'm just going to pull that leaf out. If little pieces get stuck, that is okay. It's not a big deal. This little end doesn't want to stay up. And then you can see there's this nice, cool texture pressed into the clay. So I'll have a little clay leaf plate. And that's that. And